Hello everybody out there on YouTube, it is I, James, once again, and I'm here with another video to show you guys. This is a small series I'm doing on authentic railroad, I guess you could call it fashion and or clothing, but essentially how to dress, in period stuff, and also how to get the materials you'll need and everything. So I'm starting out with the conductor first because that's the outfit I usually wear the most often. And all these are based off of real-life railroad uniforms. So first we're going to be starting with the materials that you will need for your outfit. Or if you're already given a uniform and you don't have the other bits and bobs to go with it, here's a nice little tutorial on what you need. So first off, for any real conductor, they need a real railroad watch. Now, as you can see, this watch here has no clasp on the front of it. Now, that's because there are two types of cases. There's an open face case, and then there's the hunter's case, which is the one that has a clasp. Now, you'd think that it would be a better idea to have a watch with a closing clasp on the top of it, so that way the face won't get damaged. However, there's a problem with this. On many cap-faced, not open-faced pocket watches, they have a design on the front of the watch, or it's just plain. And sometimes the front can look the same as the back. And this is very distracting, which is why on railroad-grade watches, they are always open-faced, like the one I have. Even though mine is not entirely railroad-grade, it is railroad-themed, it still fits the bill. Also, it needs to have a long fob chain. My fob chain is around somewhere to be 2.5 to 3 feet tall, or long I should say, and that'll come into play later. But anyway, and also some people like to attach their fob onto the coat or something that is just like that, but I prefer to keep it on my keys, so that way I can just pull that out whenever I need, and it's a lot more weighted and it doesn't snag on anything like a regular fob does. But most railroad grade watches will run you around $300 to $500 because they have 21 jewel movements. They're actually quite a lot bigger than the one that I have. Mine's actually very small. And now, onto the second thing you will need. On most tourist railroads and you will always need a ticket puncher. I got mine at a train show. It is an authentic one. I don't know from what railroad. I can't really make out what's been written on there. But this does work. It is an authentic railroad ticket puncher. So you will definitely need that for your look. Some people don't like the ticket puncher. The railroad themed ones, they go with an actual hole puncher you use for punching holes in paper, which could be just as good, but it doesn't have the same authenticity as this one. Also, it's quite a bit heavy. It's very nice to hold. So yeah, you got that. And now on to the second half. These are what I like to call practical items. Not that these don't have any practicality to them, but most of the time, these are the items that are most of the time for looks when it comes to most people. Also, the only time you will ever see a railroad watch that has a closing cap on it are in movies or books. You never see them in real life. You'll only see closed-capped ones in fiction. So anyway, every good conductor has a whistle. Now, some people think that this is purely a European thing, but it's not. American railroad conductors have this. And a lot of them do, and this is just a quick sound test of what mine sounds like. Like so. Very sharp and shrill. You can get these types of whistles at I would say, an athletic store. Go to a place that sells a bunch of football stuff. You'll find one of these types of whistles. Mine has a mouth guard on it, so that way I don't bite on it too hard. But if you really want to go old school, there are other options. You could get a brass tube whistle. Those are a lot more pleasing to the ear than something like this. But still, it's the same grade as long as it reaches a certain decibel count. And then last but not least, you have your railroad lantern. The one I have is a junior one. This is a, let's see, it's a Detz one right there on the top. And it does work. It still has part of its fuse in there. You can see it going up and down. And I've got my other keys attached to it. You know, if you ever go and have an Operation Lifesaver course on any train show or railroad themed event, always go to it. They may seem like a waste of time, but they will benefit you in the future. We don't want a repeat of what happened with the 844 a long while back. That was not pretty. That's why these things exist. But anyway, this is a railroad lantern. Now there are different variations of railroad lanterns. This is like the civilian version of this lantern. There are some of them that are smaller in size and have a more bulbous glass than this one. This one's more tall. This wouldn't be like a tail lamp, but it's very close to it. And some of them, the modern lamps, just have a cage around the bottom that have two exposed lights that, you know, are very bright. Modern crews use them, or just heck, even flashlights. But this is more of a 19th, 20th century look for what I'm going for, and all that. And of course I've got my specific keys for things like that when it comes to railroading. And yeah, most of these items you can very easily get. About the most expensive thing here that I got was this. The ticket puncher was about $35. The watch was $19.95. The whistle was about $2, and the lantern was about $18. So yeah, all in all, very affordable, very easy to get. Definitely not as easy to pull off as an engineer's outfit, which only really requires two of these items, the watch and the whistle. Yes, some engineers have a whistle too, depending on which road you want to do, whether it be Fort Worth and Western, or the Frisco line, or UP, or even the New York Central. So yeah, I hope you found this video to be informative, and I look forward to filming the second part where we actually have clothes that are involved. Until then, I will see you all later, and bye for now. Hello everybody out there on YouTube, it is I, James, once again, and here is part 2 on how to dress like an authentic railroad conductor. This is coats, or just vests, I really should say, but here is the first coat we are looking at. It is a very specific style of blazer. That is, it has 3 buttons on it, and it has 3 pockets on the outside. You have one here, you have another one here, and then you have a little shirt pocket up here. And you got to make sure that you have these styled lapels. I mean, you can't really see them very well because of the lighting, but this, usually you want to find these in either blue or a navy sort of color. Black is kind of rare when it comes to most railroad overcoats, as the only parts that are really black are either the hat or the actual vest that you wear underneath this. So this is my plain this is my plain jacket that I wear. This is one that I usually would wear, like either let's say when I'm visiting another tourist railroad, or if I'm going out on a different job that does not require me to wear badges, or if they just don't have badges for the railroad, this is kind of what you have. And the second one I'll show is a replica uniform. Here's the second one. It's a slightly lighter black. It's more of a really dark grayish color. But this one, as you can see, it follows a similar format. You got the 2 pockets at the bottom and then the one at the top, and then on the lapels, as you can see, this one has a badge on it right here, and then you have some lapel pins. Now, most major railroads did make lapel pins that they would have on either side of the lapel for the conductor to wear. One of the best examples of this is the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy railroads conductor uniform, which you can actually buy a lot of those online. They're surprisingly cheap. As you can see on mine, I have a few extra stickers. I have my club badge pin. I also have a station and a little steam engine on mine. Now these blazers are very cheap to find at secondhand stores. Both of them that I got were $6 each, in total costing about $12 in total. So they're really easy to find, really cheap, and of course some of them, their pockets are sewn, so you have to clip them so that way you can get to them and everything like that. But they are very cheap, but let it be known that on a hot day they can get very hot. You never want to get ones that just have 2 buttons. You want generally 3 or more. That's your score. If you have 3 or less, just let them rest, because you don't want those, because those are dress blazers. Those are meant for occasions. This is actually meant for working in. Not to mention, you'll notice another thing, these blazers actually have a little bit more arm room in them than other ones. These ones generally have a little bit more for moving around, so they're a bit better for mobility than the regular style blazer that you can find. Some railroads actually just used straight up button overcoats, which actually drape down a lot further. If you can get one of those, that's definitely a well-deserved find. You can generally use that for making a East Coast styled conductor or a European railroad conductor if you really wanted to. But for mine, I generally stick with the Midwest and the Southeast. Well, not Southeast, I should say Southwest. Midwest and Southwest, that's usually what I stick with. It's just easier to find, and also these are a little bit more breathable. They're not as thick as an overcoat, so if you're in hot weather, these won't kill you instantaneously, but you will get fairly hot in these. But good news is that they're breathable, and you don't always have to have the front buttoned up. In fact, most of the time you actually leave this open. You only really button it up if it's particularly nasty outside or something like that. You generally keep the part of it open. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you later.